Well guys, the special ordered snap rings that I got finally came in. These are, I forgot what company this is, but the part number is RSR-150. And if you Google that, it will come up as a valid part number. And these are retaining rings that are typically used in hydraulic systems. So, not quite sure whether or not this is what they normally are supposed to be used for, but they're going to work for me on this job here. They don't close up as far as I might like, but they fit the groove well, and they're going to do the job of retaining these. I'm pretty sure. So, of course, this is the original pin that was in really bad shape. Really, not good. This is the dowel pin that I found that seems to fit really nicely. I cut that to length, and then this is one of the original pins that was in there, which I also wonder whether or not this has been replaced at some point. So this has got a little bit of wear to it, but not enough for me to worry about. So I'm going to start a little reassembly here, and all that these snap rings do is basically keep these pins from being able to walk their way out over time, which is what happened that caused me to have so much excessive play. I want to get this partly past that first groove before I let it snap completely in. That'll make my life a lot easier. There we go. And I need that gap to not be over the area where the hole is. So that's it. So there's just a small perceptible amount of play there. Much better than it was before. Now, of course, I've already got the valve in the tractor because I got tired of waiting for this part to come in, and I was really looking forward to seeing whether or not that thing would leak. So I have to bring this out to the machine to snap this on, and then we'll slide the steering column assembly over and install the new tube seal, or whatever they call this weird packing assembly here at the top. So now I can finally get this steering column back into the tractor and get the new steering wheel on there and take the thing for a spin, hopefully. Looks like we got some rain and it's clouding up out there, but let's see if we can't get this thing knocked out rather quickly. So before I head out to the tractor, I'm going to remove what's left of this big old seal that's in the top here. It's a mess. I've got the new one right here, but we'll probably bring that out to the machine and install that out there. Yeah, a few whacks from the back side on a long screwdriver. Kind of get it started popping out, and then should be able to just pry it the rest of the way out. It's meatier than I thought. The right tool for the job. Oh, that don't look so great in there. Yeah, we'll clean that up. Oh, one good thing about it being kind of overcast today is if there are any wasp nests that decided to move into here while I haven't been working on this thing, it should be kind of cooled out. Not much to see. Alright, so I got that newly made pin to replace the one that was all worn out. So I just gotta line this up, stick the pin through, stick the new clip on, and then stick that whole steering column down over it and wrestle that big seal thing over the top of it.
Alright, I managed to get this column back in here and this big seal on the top. Now I just got to reposition the whole column assembly in between the two pivot points for the tilt steering. And I noticed that when I had taken this out, there was some grease on here. So I'm just going to add some more grease. Just using regular old bearing grease. As far as how tight to tighten this, I figure it's going to be tight enough so that I have minimal end play side to side like this, and not so tight that it ends up binding, although it kind of don't see how it's going to bind, especially with the grease in there. I would really have to torque this down way too much to make that happen. That seems okay. So now I'll just rotate this locking nut and lock this down. Alright. Alright, I've got the still got the dashboard out of it, dash assembly, but the lights basically sockets stay behind with the wiring harness. So electrically there's not much on that dash panel that really gets hooked up other than like the fuel level sensor and the temperature gauge. So I think if I plug this wiring harness back in right here, I should be able to start it from the key, which I haven't done in quite a while, and look forward to possibly doing in a moment. Let's see, fuel shutdown lever is in the on position. In neutral. Alright, let me go grab the steering wheel. So here's the cheap aftermarket wheel that I end up having to settle for. It's got the right size shaft, right size diameter, and the right number of splines, but it's not a deep dish. You can see it's kind of shallow. This is for the 5000 models that have the column much closer to the dashboard, that don't have the tilt column. This is the row crop, so it's got this long column. The operator sits back further in the chair, so the diameter of the wheel, the original wheel, is smaller than this and has that deeper dish. So I'm going to have to make do with this because it's all I could get. I can't find anybody who makes an aftermarket one that style. And I checked a couple of boneyards, you know, some of the larger ones in the US here, inquiring about whether or not they had any good used ones, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So finally just bit the bullet, bought this thing for I think 50 bucks shipped. It comes with a new cap. The cap comes inserted, and there's very little space to get a screwdriver or something in here to pry this cap off. And it's in there pretty tight. So, silly me, I thought, well, I'll just tap on it from the back side. So I stuck a large dowel in there, gave it one whack, and shattered the center right out of it. Nice going, dummy. So I'm going to end up having to glue this back on, which is going to be unsightly. I guess it won't be. Alright, it'll just be our secret, alright guys? Alright. Oh, me think something's wrong here. Oh geez, Edith, would you look at this? These are the finest Chinese splines that money can buy, so I know that they can't be the problem. It's got to be gotta be the shaft. Oh, it's going. Can I get the nut started? I did check to make sure that this nut goes on the shaft okay before I put this all back together, didn't I? I say that now because it's occurring to me that I remembered that I had damaged the end of this hollow tube right where the threads start when I was trying to use the puller on the old steering wheel that was seized on here. And it ended up kind of deforming that end. And I thought that I had taken care of that. All right, well, let's start with the basics here. Let's take this back off and just see if I can just get the nut on, period. Right now it's a little harder to do it because I'm working down in that well. But, yeah, I got a bad feeling about this. Could have sworn I ran a die down this, but do I even have a die that size? Maybe I meant to. I don't know, I'm starting to get bitten. This is disconcerting because this is the kind of thing that would be so easy to, well, not so easy, but it would be a lot easier to resolve this issue in the shop with this out of the tractor. But the only way I could take this out now is if I undo everything I just did. In other words, I can't get to that coupling to take this shaft out without taking the whole steering column off of the steering gear again, steering valve. You know, this is probably a good time to quit, since I'm a little disgusted with myself for snapping this thing off. And now I'm compounding things by realizing that I pulled a boner on this thing, so. All right, I'm gonna call this one quits right here.